Hi here, Finns here. I'm back for another video, and today I have just seen the running orders for both semi-finals. They have been published today, and this is my overall review of what I think of the running order for both semi-finals, starting off with the first semi-final. Yes, so the running order for the first semi-final has been published. We now know which countries are going to perform where. 15 countries will battle it out for only 10 spots in the grand final. Who will qualify? Well, that's a story for another day, but these are where they are going to perform. So to recap, this is how the running order looks like in semi-final 1. So opening the show will be Queen of the Kings of the Kings of the Queens from Norway. Alessandra will open the show from Norway. Yes, Queen of Kings. Then in number 2 we have Malta, followed by Serbia, Latvia, Portugal, Ireland and Croatia will close the first half. And then in the second half we continue off with Switzerland, Israel, Moldova, Sweden, Azerbaijan, Czechia, Netherlands, and closing the show will be Cha 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 Kaya from Finland. Yes. So a lot to digest there for semi-final 1 running order. So first things first, who's opening? Norway. And yes, I'm happy Norway is opening. I think it's going to be a good opener to semi-final 1. The producers didn't go for the most obvious choice of putting Ireland first. You know, they could have opened up with a song called We Are One in semi-final 1, but they didn't choose that. I think Ireland would have been a bit too safe to open. I think the producers wanted a bit more of a contender to open the first semi-final, considering last year Ranella opened her semi-final and didn't qualify, and that was the first song we heard. So I think they kind of want to do that again, but hopefully, fingers crossed, do it better. I think Queen of the Kings is gonna be a really good show opener. We've seen in a Melody Grand Prix, you know, that was a really good entry from Norway, and I think that's gonna really kickstart the show, and I think it'll engage a lot of viewers to watch the show thinking, this is the first song, we need to see what comes after this, and I think people are going to easily remember it when voting happens anyway, so I don't think Norway's got anything to worry about. And then closing the show, another Nordic country, Finland, will be the show closer. Yeah, I mean, I would have loved seeing Nora Carell from Israel, could have been the other option to close the show. But I think Finland, yeah, you know, you're opening with one Nordic country and you're closing with the other Nordic country, and then Sweden's in between. Interesting how they separated the 3 Nordic countries there. But I think Finland is still a good choice. It's a really upbeat, crazy number. You know, maybe it could have been a bit too crazy to close the show, but clearly not. I think Cha Cha Cha's got that nice pop schlager song with vibe I'm getting, and I think it will be, you know, one to a good show closer, and I think people would want to wait to see that, so they'll put that on last. And yeah, that's really given Finland a really good chance to not close, of course they're closing the show, but to win their semi-final. It's going to be really about between Loreen and Kalia to win that semi-final now. And it's interesting is also because Finland opened their semi-final last year, now they're closing a semi-final this year, so it's a nice flip for them, I would say. But let's go back to first half. Malta has been given the spot of death, the number 2 spot, and I feel so bad for the busker from Malta. I would have liked to see them go on later and not sandwiched in between kind of the best 2 songs of that first half of Norway and Serbia. Yeah, and considering Malta tends to struggle to get points from the televote usually and don't have a big diaspora compared to other countries, I'm worried Malta is going to struggle with where it is in the draw. But that being said, you know, the song itself is a kind of televote friendly song, but I can see a kind of City Zenny from like last year getting the number 2 spot and not doing much in the televote. Sadly, in such a strong semi, I feel bad for Malta. I wish they weren't sandwiched in between two strong contenders like that. Serbia getting number three is also a very interesting one because it's very odd that they've given Serbia the number three spot 2 years in a row. But I think the producers kind of gone, well, Serbia can survive an early draw, as we saw last year with Constructor, and do well in a semi final. As point proven, Constructor got top three in a semi final despite being formed in the number three spot, and then got the privilege of performing really later on in the grand final. So maybe it's not all bad news for Serbia, knowing what happened to Serbia last year. But it's very odd that's happened again. But in between Malta and Latvia, I think Serbia is gonna be alright despite being on a bit early again. And then we go to song four to really song eight, and Latvia, Portugal, Ireland, Croatia, and Switzerland. You got a bunch of songs where they're not big contenders. I think Portugal most likely to qualify, I would say. But I wouldn't say, they're a contender to win it all. I think, yeah, Latvia, we go to pop rock. Happy that didn't get the number two spot again for Latvia. Then we go to a bit of a cabaret fun performance from Portugal. And then we go back to pop rock again with Ireland. And then we go to wacky craziness with Croatia. And then we go back to a big power ballad with Switzerland. Yeah, none of these songs are jumping out as like they're going to win the semi-final. And maybe most of them are going to push to be qualifiers, as borderline qualifiers. And then you have a small chunk of good entries from Israel, Moldova and Sweden together. Then you got Azerbaijan, and then you have a good chunk of Czechia, Netherlands and Finland to close the show. So yeah, it's interesting when you see it in those eyes. I think Portugal's in a really nice spot. I think it's got a nice, it's in a nice sandwich with Latvia and Ireland between it. It's like a sandwich. Latvia and Ireland being the safe bread, let's say, and Portugal being that really nice juicy feeling inside, the creaminess of Mimicat from Portugal being the nice hot spicy cabaret performance from Portugal. I think Portugal's going to stand out in where it is. It's a female singer, so it stands out. It's the only cabaret performance, and it's really fun, and it's really playful. I think, and it's very Moulin Rouge. I think Portugal could still do very well now, looking at where they are. Ireland isn't too bad. I'm happy they also didn't get the number two spot because, I kind of think they would have got, if they got the number two spot, they would have probably been killed off as well. So I'm glad they're not there. Croatia number seven. I didn't expect the producers to make them as the show, well, not the show closer, but to end the first half of songs. I really thought the producers would bury Croatia. And actually, it's one of Croatia's better draws, considering they're between, also, like Portugal, very two safe entries from Ireland and Switzerland. And it's also very interesting that they put Croatia and Switzerland next to each other. Like, they all both have something about war, about Croatia, about the dictators, and then you've got Switzerland. I don't want to be a soldier. Why do we play with water guns? I don't know if there was that begin to it, but let's go to the second half. Switzerland's opening the second half. First ballads of the second half, which I kind of saw coming. That's interesting. And then you've got Israel. Again, I thought that could have been a show closer. I'm surprised Israel's on this early on in the second half, but maybe producers are thinking Israel, could qualify, get the first half in the grand final, and then open the grand final like they did with El Diablo a couple of years ago. Maybe I'm just saying. But I think, Israel, Moldova, and Sweden Now, Sweden, Loreen is getting the number 11 spot. Now, fun fact for you, in 2012, in her semi-final, Loreen's semi-final back in 2012, she also got the number 11 spot in the running order. And here she is, 11 years later, getting the number 11 spot again. I wonder if she qualifies and get the second half in the grand final, she will get the number 17 spot again. And it's interesting also, Moldova and Sweden next to each other, because both 2012 artists of Pasha Perfeni and Loreen next to each other. Yeah, I kind of thought Sweden would get 13, because that tends to be the commercial break, usually. So I was kind of expecting 30, but maybe the producers are mixing it up this year. Maybe they're putting the commercial breaks a bit differently this year. I don't know. But mind you, we do tend to have loads of pauses now in semis. Like, it can be quite jarring. Hopefully we don't go to the hosts too much in the semis, you know. And they don't have time to set up the stage, and then you go back to Hannah Warner-Bridge and she'll go, shame. No. But no, yeah. And now, after Sweden, we have Azerbaijan, which I did predict in my other video. Go and watch that. Azerbaijan is number 12. I think whoever was going to follow Loreen was going to struggle. And I think Azerbaijan, coming after Sweden, is going to not... I think Azerbaijan would have benefit not to come after Loreen, because I think after the power of Loreen, you know, and then you go into Azerbaijan, you know... That's going to be tough for Azerbaijan to come straight after that, especially if there's no commercial break in between those two songs. I think this could be a year where Azerbaijan might sit out of the grand final. But we'll see. We'll see. And then you get the final three. Czechia, the newly named Czechia, of course. 13, good draw for them. And then also into... between two slower ballads really stands out. Netherlands, the last ballad of the night, is in a kind of a good draw, being the last ballad. So yeah, that's good for them. And Finland, as I mentioned before, good draw for them. So overall, there were a few surprises in this running order, I've got to say. But overall, it's all right. It's all right. Maybe it's not the running order I was gonna predict, but yeah. So who's looking good in this running order? I'd say Portugal. Portugal's looking good. I like where Portugal is. I think, yeah, of course, I like where Sweden is, Czechia, Netherlands and Finland. I think, yeah, and maybe Israel, even though Israel would have probably benefit to be on a bit later on in that semi. I think coming on after Switzerland, it's going to really get people up dancing again, even though the immediacy is not there. And who's going to strike? I think there's two countries where I feel like they could benefit off with better draws, and that's Malta and Azerbaijan. Basically where they're sandwiched, you know, Malta being in between Norway and Serbia doesn't help Malta, and Azerbaijan coming after Loreen, and even before Czechia, I don't think really helps Azerbaijan either. So yeah, but overall, not a bad running order. Not a bad running order at all, but some interesting choices, I would say. But in any case, what do you think of the first semi-final running order for Eurovision 2023? Comment down below in the comment section below, like and subscribe to this video, and I will be back for more content very soon. So then, goodbye people, goodbye!